Hey, so I have a question. My question is, how has the relationship with your child's teacher impacted them? And not necessarily just impacted their learning or impacted their academic experience, but how has it impacted them even outside of school? So I thought about this because I was just interviewed, and it made me think about how it was whenever I was in school. Well, wasn't in school, but teaching in a school system, and I work with teachers. It was a little bit of behavior intervention, although that was not necessarily my role, but that's what it usually turned into. And this happened a couple of times. It happened whenever I was a special education coordinator, when I was supposed to handle more so the administrative task of scheduling IEP meetings or meetings for students who are in the special education program, making sure those students had their accommodations, as well as making sure that everything that they did as far as accommodations, that the teachers were making sure that they kept up with that and tracked those accommodations. But it turned into more of kind of me being a bridge between the kids and the teachers. And also I had the same situation when I was a school counselor at an elementary school. And at that elementary school, I found that literally the kids would call me, like page me, "Hey, Miss E, I need to talk to you." And I'm like, what is this little kid paging me for? Like I'm on call for the kids. But when it really comes down to it, that had a lot to do with the relationship that the teachers had formed or did not form with the students. It really impacted their learning. So I'm going to talk about that just briefly today. So my name is Kendra E. Boybadin. I am an educational consultant. I am a former teacher turned micro school founder. I'm also a reading specialist, and I help homeschool parents or parents who are frustrated or disappointed with the current school system. I provide different solutions for them, ranging from tutoring to support their kid in learning how to read better. We have a micro school here in Central Texas for students who are, we have a private school part of it, as well as a homeschool hybrid part. And I also support the parents and help them learning how can they support their kids better, or how can they teach their kids, or what can they do to kind of advocate for their kids' needs. So I do all of the above, but my main goal is to really just help kids be successful in school and in life. Now, one of the things that it just came naturally for me to build a relationship with kids. And I thought maybe because I was a mom, whenever I started teaching, since I've been teaching, I've always been a mom. That's one of the reasons why I got into teaching, because it was convenient for me to take my child to school. Back then it was daycare. He was about 2 or 3 years old. So I've been teaching that long. And I always felt like whenever I see teachers who talk about these kids like they just hate them, and I get it. I understand that sometimes you deal with difficult kids that are not your kids, and you cannot handle them the same way that you would your kids. But at the same time, we do have to realize, okay, who is the adult here? Who is the adult here, and why am I here? I am here to support kids. I am here to make sure that not only that I teach kids, but I feel like it's a responsibility, a calling, a duty to help those kids reach their full potential and be who they are called to be. So I just believe, now I'm going to put this link in here because it's here and before I forget it. So if you would like to discuss your options, if you feel like it's just not working for your child, that their current school setting, and you would like to discuss options or what you can do, then you can just be sure to contact me. I have this, oops, I think I did something. Okay, here's the link. I think it's supposed to be in here. I don't see it. So, oops. Okay, if not, here it is. I'll just put it. I think this is it. Okay, yeah. I think that's it. Maybe. So If not, if that's not the link, then you could just send me a DM, send me a message, and we can set up a time to talk. So, how does the teacher relationship with the student impact that student? Well, for one thing, let's talk about a good, appropriate teacher relationship with the student. In that setting, the teacher is the guide. That teacher's job is to scaffold the learning. So what that means, it takes the student from where they are right now, wherever that may be, whether they're behind, whether they're on grade level, it takes them from where they are right now, and it's increment steps to help them build up to where they need to be, or help them build up to excel from where they are currently. And that requires relationship, a positive relationship. Now, there's all type of research out there that talks about how the environment has to be positive for a kid to learn and really thrive, how the student has to feel like they're comfortable to take risk or ask questions. Like, they're not going to feel like they're being put down if they ask a question. They're not going to feel like they're going to be made like they're dumb if they answer a question, or they won't feel like they're going to be scolded. You should have already known that. Why didn't you know that? That's just not a good setting for a student, a child, to learn at their optimum level. And let's think about it. If you have a boss that's like that, like micromanage you or make you feel down if you ask a question, then you're not going to thrive in that setting either. You're not going to like that setting. So in order to make sure that kids learn, it starts with their emotions. It starts with their emotional wellness. Now, I talk about it often, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because at the bottom, at the very basic level, your needs have to be supplied. That is your food, water, shelter, and emotional well-being as well. You can't really learn if you have anxiety. You can't learn if you're stressed out. So let me back up. Let's go back to the positive relationships. Now, in that positive relationship, some of the things that I do here, I just really kind of do things naturally. So I'm trying to think how I do this. Well, one thing, I talk to the kids. I talk to them about either their weekend or their day. I give them time to talk. Now, they're kind of chatty sometimes, but it's important to give kids that space to talk if they want to talk to you. So I may tell them, okay, right now it's time for reading, or right now it's time for math, but you can talk to me later. You can talk to me during lunchtime about that. We can continue that conversation, because I can see that you are really excited about what you did this weekend, or what you did with your parents, or where you went, or whatever event, the movie that you saw. I know you're excited about that. So I really want to hear more about that. You can tell me about that later. And what that does, that really builds a relationship with the kids, and that lets them know that you care about them. You care about what's important to them. Sometimes you can go to, now I'm not really big on sports, but I have heard a lot of teachers say that they go to their kids' sport events. Now, I've gone to birthday parties before for my students. I've gone to those. Just not really a big sports fan. So, and being outside and being hot, and I just would prefer not to do that. But sometimes you may see a kid out in public. You may see them at a sporting event or something, or your kids, maybe some other kids' events. You may just happen to see that teacher. Your kid may see their teacher, and they're always excited because, especially the younger kids, they feel like you live at the school. But no, you don't live at the school. So whenever you can talk to that kid about something that excites them, I know, like right now, and well, years before, and I think it's coming back now, Pokemon was the big thing. So I had students, they would just love to talk about Pokemon. They would want to bring their cards to school, although that sometimes turned out to be an issue, a concern. So we didn't want that too often. But sometimes they would bring in their Pokemon cards. So I would ask them about them. I know when my kids were younger, my boys were younger, I think it was Pokemon or some type of cards. I think it was Pokemon, although we didn't get to go too crazy about that. So I knew a little bit about it, but I would just ask the students, okay, well, what does that mean? Or what is that? Tell me about that character. Well, what does he do? What are his powers? Is he the bad guy? Is he the good guy? Just have those conversations. It doesn't matter about what, as long as a student is interested in it, then they're going to talk to you about it. And that's going to help build a relationship. Also, I know sometimes students, and I've taught middle school, elementary, and high school, and this happens at all levels. Sometimes kids, if they get a wrong answer, or if they do something wrong, or do something incorrect, another kid may want to call that student out and be like, "Hey, that's wrong. You didn't get that correct." And so I kind of try to cut that because sometimes it can turn into them, that other student may feel bad about themselves, or that other student may kind of get the air about them, like, why didn't you know that? Like I knew that. Why didn't you know that? And we don't want any child to feel less than, especially if they are really trying. They're trying as hard as they can, and they still get the answer incorrect. That's okay. That's why I'm here. I'm the teacher. I'm here to help you. So I try to make sure that students do not feel like someone is talking about them or speaking down on them. And that's another thing. I really don't ex- I don't tolerate a lot of just purposely, I guess these days they would call it bullying, or purposely teasing kids. Sometimes it starts really, it starts innocent, not so innocent, but it starts at a low level, but then it can escalate really quickly. So I try to cut that out just real quick. Like, no, we're not going to do that, because we don't want it to just blow up into something, and now this student feels like they're being bullied. We don't want that. So part of your job as a teacher, if you're a teacher, or that teacher's job, is to maintain the climate of the classroom. Not the temperature of the classroom, but the climate, meaning you should know that there's a level that starts at here and it's going to go all the way up to here if you don't try to stop that when you can. It can easily escalate and get out of control. So a teacher needs to be able to understand that. It's like, okay, that's enough. That is enough. At that point, that's enough. And so a teacher needs to be able to learn how to do that. And what that other child sees, even if they don't say anything, they know, okay, Miss E, that's what my students call me. They know Miss E is not going to allow them to be saying this about me, or to talk about me bad, or Miss E is not going to allow it. So I become a safe place for that child. Also in high school, a lot of drama that goes on in high school, from girls breaking up with boyfriends and stalking the boyfriends, or approaching the new girlfriend of the ex-boyfriend. All this type of drama goes on in high school. And so I had to be like the buffer for that a lot of times. And sometimes I would have to give that, whether it's a girl or a boy, I would have to give them time to just kind of get that off of their chest, talk about it a little bit. Okay, we're going to talk about it right now. And then I don't want to hear anything else about your ex-boyfriend the rest of the classroom, because no one else wants to hear about it either, because you talk about that every day and we don't want to hear anything else about that. And that's after I give them their space to talk about it. And that lets them know, okay, Miss E is, she's there for me. She's going to listen to me to a certain degree, to a certain point. We don't want to just keep talking about that over and over and over again, although that has happened. I had to squash that. That's enough. We don't want to hear about it. And then that same person said, after, when there was a different girl going through her boyfriend drama, she was like, oh my gosh, was I like that? Talking about that all the time? How annoying. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so it just helps that child learn with you. I've had so many students that come and tell me, oh, this teacher, I can't deal with this teacher, but you're not like that. Now you do expect me to do what I'm supposed to do my work, follow the rules. But this other teacher is just like, they're like purposely just picking on me, or just unbearable. And it really makes a difference for me. And it's not that I'm allowing that student to get away with anything, but you have to choose your battles. You have to pick and choose your battles. Now, okay, if I listen to this child talk about the whole boyfriend drama for 1 minute of the class, I'll do that. And then I don't have to hear about it for the whole 45, 50 minutes of class. So pick and choose your battles. Now, on the other hand, if your child does not feel like they're in a good environment, or if they're not getting along with their teacher, then you're going to see some issues. That student, they may try to say they don't like school, And maybe this is a student who did like school and now all of a sudden they don't like school. They may say like, I don't like school anymore. I don't want to be here. I don't like school anymore. That teacher, she hates me. I've heard kids say that. That teacher hates me. And I'm like, no, they don't hate you. And then in the, whatever meeting, I hear the teacher say, I hate that kid. I'm like, well, they know it. And that's why they're acting up in your classroom, because they know that you don't like them and you're not trying to work with them. So those are some things that happen. Behaviors, that child gets labeled as the bad kid or the one who's always doing something. And even whenever they try to do the right thing, or if someone else does something, they may automatically get blamed. And nobody wants to be blamed for something that they did not do. So that really impacts their learning. It may impact their motivation to learn. If they feel like, why should I bother? No one cares. Then they're not going to try to do their best because they feel like it's not going to be recognized. No one cares, or the teacher doesn't care whatever they do, if they do try their best, feel like the teacher doesn't care. If they don't try their best, they feel like the teacher still doesn't care. So those relationships are very important, and that just doesn't stop there. If you feel like you're being rejected by your teacher, that can carry on as an adult. You may feel like you may find it difficult to interact with people or to make relationships with people because you don't trust them. You feel like maybe people are always going to talk bad about you, or they're not going to believe in you. Or if you have a teacher, God forbid, if they say something like you're lazy. I had a teacher say that about my kid, like right there in front of my kid. And so I can only imagine what she was saying when I wasn't there, or what she said when I wasn't there. So that's sometimes, that can even, I had to get that out of my son's system and let him know that, I heard him say that later on, as they can have the opportunity to grow. They have the opportunity to make mistakes, and in a safe environment where they know that teacher is going to help them. So that is just a little bit. I can talk about this all day, and I actually train on this. I help teachers prepare to create a better environment for them and the students through just being more aware of their biases maybe, and also being aware of different cultural differences so that they can help those students and try to self-correct their behavior so that they can create an environment that is safe and conducive to learning. So if you are a teacher and you need some help, maybe you just find that the classroom is just out of control all the time and you need help, so you go ahead and reach out to me. Or if your child is just in an environment where you feel like it's just not working for your child, then we have different environments here, as well as different supports that could help you and as you try to decide what's best for your child. So thank you for watching. And this link here, this is weird, I don't know what that is, but it's supposed to be, I don't know if this is a link to the to contact me. If this is not the link, then I am going to put the direct link in here, although I think it just shortened it. But so this is a direct link if you would like to speak with me and talk about how I can help you be successful in your classroom, or how I can help your child be successful. Thanks for watching.